Walk you through Codeglance, which is a project that we built at the Google Gemini Hackathon in New York City. So this was a 4-hour hackathon focused on creating local AI workflows that integrate with the new Gemini CLI. And Codeglance is an MCP server that uses Gemini to analyze any GitHub repository and generate comprehensive documentation. So this is different from the regular readme.md file that we have in every repository. This is much more detailed and makes it easier for any individual to understand the code base. So oftentimes developers face an issue of finding out where to start exploring the repository from. Apart from that, there are like a lot of nested files and folders which make it hard to efficiently understand the repository. So whether you're exploring a new code base, doing code reviews, or just trying to understand how a project works, this tool is going to save you a lot of time. So since this is an MCP server, it can easily be configured with Gemini. Let me just show you how it's executed. So we can use the / command for MCP to configure this. So I've already done that. And as you can see, it's already configured. And I built this MCP using the official documentation for Model Context Protocol. And for the demo purposes, I'm going to use this GitHub repository that is another OpenAI real-time API application. So I'm just going to copy the GitHub URL and ask Gemini to analyze this. So Gemini is going to know when exactly to actually. Let me just run Gemini with the YOLO command so that we don't have to approve changes. All right. Okay, so it's going to know when to use this MCP. So as you can see, it's going to analyze this particular GitHub using the MCP server that's configured. So once it's done analyzing the repository, it's going to generate a bunch of README files, which includes everything starting from the flow of exploration, which makes it easily understandable, as well as the architecture and the repository hierarchy. Everything is going to be covered in those documentations. Okay, looks like it's done analyzing and generating these documents. So let's check the documentation. Okay, so as you can see, it generates, actually, let me just open it in cursor. So yeah, as you can see, it generated this analysis folder, which includes the guide, including all the documents and the repository itself. So starting from, let's say, the README, this shows the suggested sequence in which we can explore the documents. So the first one is the overview, which tells everything about what this repository is about, what problem does it solve, and all the features that is present in this repository. And this is exactly where it tells you where exactly to start exploring the repository from, and also the key concepts and everything to understand before starting. And that's the tree diagram of the hierarchy. And these are all the different file insights. These are different endpoints that have been used in the repository. And that's also the data flow. Next is the architecture of how exactly this project was built. So from from this diagram, it seems that it's a Twilio app integrating with OpenAI WebSockets, and it is wrapped under a fast API application. I think it did a pretty decent job in the architecture generation, and that's a quick start, which gets us started with this new repository. Lastly, that's the summary of the documentation. So that is exactly how the entire analysis is presented. And I think this is like very powerful because this particular MCP generates an analysis folder wherever it's called. And I think that's powerful because you could literally have an analysis of an entire repository in your root, and then you can just simply reference that analysis to build whatever you're building, either build something on top of it or enhance it. And since this is an MCP server, it can be configured with any AI tools that we have nowadays, like Cloud Code or Cursor or any other tool. And so yeah, that was the project. Thank you.